Aries, if lately you felt like someone has been watching you, not close enough to touch, but not far enough to ignore, if that gaze keeps slipping quietly into the moments when you thought you were alone, then maybe this isn't just intuition. Maybe it's the first warning sent from the universe. In this video, I'm going to tell you why a woman is about to step into your energetic space, and why not everyone who enters your life is light. Some come to love you, but others come to test your soul in the sweetest, most disarming way. If there's a stirring in your heart lately, as if your soul has been trying to speak, then write in the comments, "I'm ready to see the truth." Because that comment isn't just a declaration, it's a signal sent directly to the universe that you, Aries, are ready to hold on to your light and release everything that's been quietly leading you astray. And right now, we're about to step into the very first truth about you, Aries, a powerful flame, but also a light that is so often taken for granted. Hold tightly to your fire, because what you're about to hear may cause you to look back on everything you once called love with completely new eyes. Aries is the first sign in the Zodiac, not because of luck, but because of divine choice. You didn't enter this life with hesitation or fear. You arrived like a proclamation, a beginning, a sacred flame, and from that very moment, the world began to look at you differently. No one carries the explosive energy of life quite like you do. You don't wait for opportunity, you create it. You're not afraid of being wrong, you're afraid of standing still. You are the embodiment of Mars, the planet of instinct, courage, and the will to fight. But what the world so often forgets is that within every warrior, there's always a child, still hoping. And Aries, more than anyone, is the extraordinary intersection between an innocent heart and a spirit that refuses to break. Maybe that's why you are the flame that's always the easiest to see. You don't need to try to impress. The moment you walk into a room, your energy speaks for you. But that light, no matter how radiant, is always a target for those who lack light within themselves. And this is a painful truth you must face. Light attracts not only those who wish to love you, but also those who seek to drain you, control you, or simply shrink you down, just so they can feel bigger standing next to you. Have you ever noticed? When you love, you never love halfway. You love like it's your last chance. You love with fire, with life, with hope. But has anyone ever asked you? Has anyone ever loved you the way you have loved them? One of the deepest human lessons that Aries must learn is this. Not everyone deserves to be warmed by the fire you carry. Some people need love to grow. Others need love just to escape their loneliness. And you who always see potential in others, you often become the temporary home for souls who don't yet know where they're going. I've met many Aries, people who gave up their freedom, their dreams, even their dignity, just to hold on to someone a little longer. Not because they were weak, but because they believed, if I'm sincere enough, patient enough, loyal enough, then maybe, just maybe, this love will finally change. But love, dear Aries, is not a one-sided battle. If you're fighting alone in a relationship, then that's not love. That's slow erosion. Because you live with truth, others see your vulnerability more easily. But what they don't realize is that very truth is your unstoppable power. You don't wear a mask, you don't pretend, you don't say I'm fine when you're not. And that honesty in a world that's grown used to wearing disguises is exactly what makes you so easy to wound. But you know what? No one can truly extinguish light. They can only make you forget how brightly you once burned. So today, I want you to ask yourself just one question. A question powerful enough to change your course. Am I in love, or am I simply trying not to be left behind? And if that question makes you hesitate, then maybe, just maybe, you need to step back. Not because you're weak, but because you're finally learning how to love yourself first. If you've ever sacrificed yourself just to keep someone from leaving, write in the comments, "I deserve a love that honors the fire within me." Because not everyone who stays in your life is meant to be your destiny. Some are only lessons. Some come to show you. Not everyone you love is someone you're meant to keep. and some arrive simply to teach you the priceless value of freedom. But you are still you, Aries, still the fire that begins all things, still the soul that cannot be bent, just because someone else wasn't strong enough to walk beside you. You were not born to shrink yourself into anyone. You were born to walk beside them, or to rise forward alone, with every ounce of your light intact. And what you're about to hear next will make you reflect on every relationship you've ever had, especially the women who once stirred your heart. Were they love, or just mirrors, reflecting back parts of your past you never dared to face? Keep going, because the truth you're searching for may be waiting just behind her eyes. Some women enter your life very quietly. They don't create chaos. They don't announce themselves. Just one glance, one gentle question that seems harmless, yet leaves a deep echoing silence in your heart. You don't know why, but from the very first moment you met her, you no longer saw the world with the same eyes. Everything suddenly seemed more beautiful or more chaotic, depending on the state of your heart at that moment. And if you're an Aries listening right now, I know you've felt this before. A woman who made you feel as if you had finally found a way out of loneliness. But maybe she was actually the detour that led you further away from yourself. In astrology, this is known as a Venus-Neptune energy entanglement. Venus brings desire for connection, love, and softness. Neptune invites illusions, images so beautiful they no longer feel real. And when these two planets merge in your energetic field, you don't fall in love with a person. You fall in love with an idea, a dream, a vague longing for something once lost. That woman, she might be the embodiment of a memory still unhealed. Maybe she reflects the mother who felt distant when you needed her the most. Maybe she mirrors the ex-lover who disappeared without explanation. Or maybe she simply carries the shadow of a loneliness you've been hiding in silence. You don't love her for who she is. You love how you feel when you stand next to her. You love the feeling of being seen, of being needed, of being connected. But here's the question you must bravely ask yourself. Do I love this person? Or do I love the version of myself I feel when I'm with them? Real love doesn't leave you confused. Real love doesn't require you to give up your sense of self just to stay. True love is the place where you can show up completely, with your brightest parts and your most tender ones, too. There are eyes that can make you forget your logic. But real love never makes you forget yourself. You might have said, I think she's my destiny. But ask yourself this, if she's truly your destiny, would she ask you to lose your light just to keep her? Not everyone who moves you is someone you're meant to hold on to. Some people make you cry, just so you can learn how to love yourself first. Some people are not sent to walk the full path with you, but to awaken a part of you that has been asleep for a very long time. I once met an Aries who told me, no one has ever hurt me as deeply as she did. But strangely, I've never learned so much about myself either. And that is where love meets awakening, where passion becomes a test, where she meets you. She may not be the one to build a home with, but she might be the one who made you look straight into the rubble inside and finally start clearing it out. Not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. Some come to teach you how to set boundaries. Some arrive to help you distinguish between feelings and truth. And some come simply to remind you, you don't have to become someone else just to be loved. If you've ever stepped into a relationship and silently wondered, am I trying to keep someone, or am I losing myself? Then write in the comments below, I choose to stay with my own light. That sentence might look small, but it's your first sacred vow to yourself before continuing on the path to real love. And after all of this, there's still one question you need to carry with you as we step into what comes next. How do I know if someone is light or just a lesson wrapped in gentleness? Because the next truth you're about to hear is one many Aries have overlooked. People don't always try to control you through cruelty. Sometimes they do it with kindness, with listening ears, with the sweetest words. Keep going, because awakening only truly begins when you learn to say enough to the illusion. Not all control begins with domination. Sometimes, it starts with a compliment, a gentle understanding, that feeling of, finally someone truly sees me. And when you're Aries, a radiant soul, always longing to be understood, to connect, to love with your whole unguarded heart, you might not realize you're stepping into a form of manipulation so soft, so sweet, and yet incredibly dangerous. Astrology has said this clearly. Aries is ruled by Mars. You're the warrior, the trailblazer, the spark that lights the way for others. But what few people mention is, you are also the one most likely to burn. Because when you love, you don't just love a person. You love their wounds. You love the parts they try to hide. And you believe, if you're patient enough, warm enough, strong enough, you can heal them. But the truth is, some people don't want to be healed. They just want you to forget who you are. In psychology, there's a term called emotional codependency. It's when your self-worth starts depending on whether someone else needs you. You begin to feel valuable only when you're carrying someone else's pain. And over time, you stop living for yourself and start living to maintain the role of the savior in someone else's story. And then one day, you find yourself drained, but afraid to let go. Here's something you need to remember deeply. You don't have to stay strong just to hold on to someone who doesn't know how to love you. Because loving the right person, you'll feel lifted. Loving the wrong one, you'll constantly brace yourself just so they don't fall apart. But you were not born to carry others. You were born to burn bright, not to burn out. I've heard many Aries say, "She said I'm the only one who understands her. She only trusts me. She said if I ever leave, she'll fall apart." It may sound like you're someone special, but be careful, because sometimes you are not being loved. You are simply being used as a resting place for someone who doesn't want to face themselves. You are not a charging station for souls who are always running low. You are not a fireplace for others to warm their hands, only to leave once they're no longer cold. You are a planet with your own orbit, a sacred flame, not meant to be demanded from, but to be respected. If you've ever loved someone so deeply that you lost yourself in the process, write in the comments, "I am returning to myself." Not just to confirm it to me, but so that you and the universe both know this truth. Your light is more important than any promise left unkept. It's ironic, isn't it? People don't always mean to break you. Sometimes they only reflect back a part of you that you tried so hard to forget. The part that once believed, if I'm good enough, then they won't leave like the last time. The part that once thought, I have to prove my worth through how much I love. But you don't have to prove anything. You don't need to be the savior to be seen as worthy. You only need to be yourself. Radiant, sincere, and clear-eyed enough to know who stands beside you because they truly see you, and who stays because they need someone to control without being caught. This is not a criticism. This is an awakening, an invitation to return to the original flame within you, the fire that God placed inside you, not to serve others, but to light the way for your own path. Remember who you were, before you tried to become good enough for someone else. That is the one you must return to. And here's the miracle. Once you return to the true essence of who you are, every form of manipulation will fall away on its own. Because light does not need to fight to protect itself. Light only needs to shine at its true frequency, and the darkness will no longer be able to endure it. Coming up next, I'll show you something many have misunderstood: how to tell the difference between a destined love and a replay of an old wound. You'll realize this. Not everyone who makes you feel intense emotions is meant to stay. Sometimes they are just a mirror reflecting back a crack you haven't seen before. Some women come into your life not to stay. They arrive like a strange breeze. No knocking, no warning. With just a look or a simple phrase, they stir something in you that has been locked away for a very long time. And you find yourself wondering, why am I shaken so quickly? Why does it feel like I've known her long before we ever met? In astrology and spirituality, this is called a soul mirror. When someone enters your energetic field, not to remain, but to reflect back something you've never had the courage to face. She is not your destined lover. She is the embodiment of something still unfinished within you. Maybe a wound, a memory left unnamed, a part of your soul abandoned in childhood that you learn to ignore just to keep moving. You don't love her because of who she is. You love the feeling of being seen in a part of you that was once forgotten. You love the unhealed memory that she accidentally awakened. Maybe she has eyes that look like your mother's, the mother who stayed silent when you needed protection. Maybe she said words that softened your heart, the way someone once did before they walked away without a reason. Maybe it was just the way she smiled that reminded you of the carefree version of yourself before you learned to be strong, just so no one could see your softness. And so, you stepped into a nameless connection. You didn't quite know if it was love or longing or simply a desire to revive the soul that had gone quiet. You entered without guarding your heart. You gave without protecting it. Because you believed, this time will be different. This person isn't like the others. She will understand me. But you forgot. Not every love comes to stay. Some loves arrive only to teach you how to leave without feeling like something's missing. I know, it's hard to accept that someone could stir you to your very core, yet still not be the one meant to stay. But sometimes God sends a soul not for you to keep, but for you to see yourself again through their eyes, to help you touch what had been forgotten, to remind you you are worthy of love, even when you are not saving someone. If you've ever seen yourself in a stranger's eyes, only to lose sight of who you are. If you've ever become a better version of yourself, thinking they would stay if only you were kind enough, soft enough, patient enough, then today I invite you to write in the comments, I am seeing myself in a new light. Not the light they projected onto you, but the light you are now reclaiming from within. Because Aries, you were not born to be a reflection of someone else's memory. You were born to walk with the pure light of your own soul, to love without losing yourself, to look at someone and still keep your gaze facing forward. That mirror, that woman, she may have made you cry, but she may also have awakened you. And sometimes, the most beautiful love is not the one that holds you back, but the one that sends you home to yourself. Did they really love me, or were they only showing me a part of myself I was too afraid to heal? You'll soon realize the most unexpected truth about your own path through love. There are people you fall for, not because they are amazing, but because they resemble someone who once deeply hurt you. Let's keep going, because this truth might just be the final piece that helps you understand why you keep repeating the same kind of love, and why, this time, you won't need to fall into it again. Some people come into your life, not to love you, but to awaken you. Not to walk with you to the end of the road, but to make you stop, look inward, and ask a question you've never dared to ask. Am I in love, or am I trading away my light just to be held by someone? Aries, you are the first fire of the Zodiac, but even fire can flicker, and often it flickers when you fall under the influence of Mercury or Saturn in retrograde, planets that don't come to destroy you, but to force you to redraw the boundary between who I am and where I'm being pulled. In these moments, you're no longer sure of what you feel. You doubt your intuition, you lose faith in your ideals, and worst of all, you begin to reshape yourself to fit someone else, instead of living as the soul that God already lit within you. But retrogrades, though uncomfortable, are disguised blessings, because only when you lose direction do you truly look at your soul's map again. Only when your heart is stirred by someone who is not meant for you do you realize your light was never meant to warm someone who doesn't know how to hold it. The one who hurt you may not be a bad person. They may simply be a question sent by heaven. How long have you forgotten yourself just to be loved? And then you will finally see one thing clearly. No one is worth losing yourself for. No one deserves so much that you have to dim your flame just so they won't be blinded by it. So if you find yourself at a crossroads where love and truth no longer walk together, if you feel yourself growing quiet, shrinking, just to hold on to someone who no longer truly sees you, pause, not to blame them, but to return yourself to yourself. Take a deep breath. If your eyes are welling up, if your heart feels tight, this is not weakness. It is your soul finally being seen. Because in the end, every Aries journey begins and ends with light. Thank you, Aries, for staying until the very last moment. Thank you for having the courage to face the truths that weren't easy to hear. For opening your heart to look at yourself again through the mirrors that once made you cry. You are not weak because you are hurt. You are strong because you still believe in love even after your light was taken for granted. And today, if something within you is rising, a decision, a return, a whispered promise to your soul, then make it real. Share this video with someone lost in love, because one timely reminder can save a soul from losing themselves completely. And if you are ready to walk into a new chapter where you love but no longer trade yourself away just to stay, write in the comments, "I choose love, but this time I will not leave myself behind." Because you deserve to be loved fully, the way you've loved others, with no calculation, no holding back. And true love is waiting for the Aries who dares to return to their original, blazing light.